New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rev Jersey Girl here, Michelle Wadley. Glad to be with you this morning for the Science of Mind lecture series. I do love making sense and simplifying this fairly complicated teaching. I mean, it's simple in one hand, but the application can be sometimes complicated. So I like making it applicable to the best of my ability and to take some of the mystery out of it. And that's usually what I do when I'm teaching anything about the science of mind. So good morning. You're going to hear a little echo with me, the room that I'm in. Anybody who's been following my saga with me on Facebook knows that my home has been under construction. It continues to be under construction. And so this room is fairly empty. We're waiting for the floors to be redone. So there's nothing to absorb the sound here today, but it's all very exciting. I am in the home stretch, and at some point very soon, I will no longer be talking to you or mentioning the construction in my home. So, but today I'm here and we have completed the part of the textbook that Reverend Robert wanted us to bring to you. It was fun participating with the other teachers that have been in here. And last week, Tracy Brown brought you growing up. That's funny because she sang a little song from Peter Pan, but I didn't think of that song. Now, so everybody, you might want to hold your ears. With her title, Growing Up, the song I was thinking about, remember the old jingle from Toys R Us? I'm just digressing for a fun moment here, folks. Remember? I'm a Toys R Us kid. I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid. There's a million toys at Toys R Us for me to play with. Anyway, that's what I thought of with growing up. And I know, kind of corny. But today's title is Growing Beyond by Design. And growing beyond what is the question that we're going to answer. And so it has been in my teaching when I talk about the science of mind with my students and my congregation, I often create the differential that we create either by design or by default. Now, I'm here to tell you that while preparing for this show and moving through the logic for this show, I actually started to have a new mind. Having a new mind for me means having a new idea, but I call it a new mind because my experience is, and I hope this is your experience too, that once I stretch my mind with an idea, it rarely goes back to what it was. And so when I have a shift in how I perceive something, then that shift adds to the filter of when I look out at through my eyes at the world, and it impacts It impacts my experience of the world, which is the beauty of growing and expanding consciousness. So we create by default initially out of our conditioning. This happens unconsciously and it happens automatically. And this might be something that's very obvious to you, but I want to just lay a little groundwork. This is the result of our domesticated worldview. So now I brought together the term domestication, which I never used before reading the Four Agreements, and worldview, which is something that many of us, I think, pay attention to. Our worldview is the filter through which we see the world and where we engage the world. That worldview is the result of many, many things. It is not just the result of your drama and trauma. It is the basic result and the gathering of all the information that made you you. Your education, your religious education, your household, your traditions, your religion, um, your the area that you where you grew up, your race, your nationality, all of these things have come together to create the worldview that we see through. So that's why initially we create by default, because most of us were not conscious enough at a young age to choose what to align with. We didn't have the awareness to align with, for example, an adopted, I'm not going down this road too far, but something that a lot of white Americans have adopted is a certain amount of racism and white supremacy. I want to hold out the belief that if we knew that was happening, we would have chosen differently. But my guess is that we didn't. And my experience in doing so much anti-racism work is that the biggest the biggest shaking up for individuals is when they realize that they have adopted it and that they adopted it unconsciously. So what happens is we adopt these unconscious ways of being, and then they become, excuse me, they become the way that we see the world and the way we engage the world. So in my mind, most likely, if you want to grow beyond, you probably are looking to grow beyond your conditioning, to grow beyond your certain parts of your education, to grow beyond aspects of maybe your family traditions. And I always like to mention, because it was such a good body of work, Carolyn Mace's work, and here I am, I'm going to forget the title of it at the moment. One of her early books, and she talks about how we are all part of different tribes. We have tribal conditioning, and so what happens is many of us are fearful to step beyond the habits, the superstitions, the cultural upbringing of our families or our religions, and we belong to many different tribes. Many different, but I'm not going to go into that too deeply. So I'm not here to judge your worldview or your upbringing or your conditioning of the mind that has made you you. But if you are feeling in any way dissatisfied about your life and you want something else, it is most likely because of this conditioning. You're very likely you're feeling a discomfort in being the way you're being because you see other possibilities out there in the world. You see other people succeeding. You see other people having the lives that when you look at them, you think, oh, I wouldn't mind having that. So the thing to remember, and this is pure science of mind, folks, pure science of mind. You cannot out create your consciousness. Whatever change, upliftment, shift you want to have, you must go to your inner landscape and change or shift, expand, however you want to label it, your consciousness first. It must be from consciousness out. That's why we say, as within, so without. That's where that was born. Okay. To grow beyond, to grow beyond that and truly embrace the new idea that you are seeking, we first pay attention there. Now, in the textbook on page 184, Ernest Holmes says, one alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a majority. One alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a complete majority. This is why when we science of mind teachers, practitioners, or those studying, when we study spiritual mind treatment, prayer, the very first two steps I'm here to tell you are the single most important steps there are. Because it is recognition and unification. And this is, this, but I want to purpose those first two steps with a lot of emphasis. Recognition is to move outside of your smaller, individuated self and to expand, accept, and allow the essence of good that is everywhere present. That's a big idea to live into, and it is a big idea to allow your movement, the movement of who you are. So one alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a complete majority. Okay. Many years ago, there was this wonderful minister. His name was the Reverend Dr. Tom Johnson. Tom was on the East Coast. He was on the West Coast. He was a pretty fair, well-known minister in his day. And I remember as a very young, well, not very young practitioner, I wasn't that young when I became a practitioner, as an early practitioner, I heard him say that the reason why we treat is to not have to treat. And I remember thinking that that was a ridiculous idea. However, I got it later on. If you and I are conditioning our mind, then we are expanding it so that because we walk in that state of consciousness. If we are treating on a regular basis, when we treat, we shift the vessel of us. We shift this vessel. And I'm pointing to the body because the body carries the memory of this shift. So when we do our healing work, when we do our meditation, when we remember to love ourselves as we are, because that is an incredibly important part of the application of the science of mind teaching, believe it or not, is self-love. But as we do that, then we walk in the state of consciousness. We walk in the state of expectancy. We walk thinking that or having an expectation that life is going to work out in your favor, on your behalf. So let me pull this together. Actually, I'm going to give you another slide. We came to understand then that the answer to prayer is in prayer when it is prayed. The belief of the one praying sets in motion the law of love, which is the fundamental law of the universe. Which is the fundamental law of the universe. So, when you and I become this lovely vibration of self-love and self-acceptance, we are starting to grow beyond our limitations by design. We're saying consciously, I choose to be more. I choose not to be limited by my conditioning. I choose to believe that my I am is the I am that exists everywhere present. And through my I am, I accept and I allow for an expansion of, it could be anything, of greater health, greater wealth, creativity, relationships, all of it. Absolutely all of it. So that was on page 190 of the textbook, by the way. When we pray, we shift here. Again, I know that this is not new, but I speak to enough people. I talk to enough students. I engage enough people in the world to know that it's fairly easy to forget. It's fairly easy to forget that. You and I must shift our mind, our thinking, and come out of lazy thinking, lazy, disorganized thinking that is not disciplined. And we're going to get to some how-tos. But in order to shift, I have to shift me. I am the change that I want to see. Pay attention to what I just said. I am the change that I want to see. When I counsel or I coach someone, when they repeatedly speak about someone else, I will consistently tell them to stop using that person's name, because as long as we think there's a problem outside of us, or that an individual is the source of our pain or our suffering, you and I can't do anything about it. But if we take responsibility and we shift and we have all inward focus, I can do something about my inward focus. I can shift my belief system. You can shift your belief system. One of the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful things about the science of mind, when we remember, is that there's always the possibility of shift. We're not stuck. We're not at the mercy. Whatever you think is your issue right now, it's not real. It's not real. And by the way, I'm going to do a little commercial break in the next moment. But if you have questions, please write them in, the Facebook page, and Reverend Robert will grab them and put them on the screen. And I'm happy to do my best to answer your questions. Speaking of Reverend Robert, his vision is a beautiful vision, and that is a vision of a radio station right now, yes, mostly housed in Facebook, but not only in Facebook. The talks go out on YouTube all week long. Music, prayer, visioning, discussion, lessons, education, authors, all sorts of amazing, wonderful things. Please, please, please take time. Take out your credit card as you're speaking to me. And Reverend Robert, maybe you can put that banner. There you go. newthoughtmedia.org. newthoughtmedia.org. Give generously to this organization. If you can only give once, fine, give once. However, give. And they would love if you gave a little bit every month. Any amount will go to support this incredible organization. So thank you for doing this. So we we shift when we vibrate at a higher vibration. We live in a vibratory universe. And I love that Albert Einstein said this: everything in life is vibration. And then I grabbed this other one just because I liked it. The universe is asking, show me your vibration, and I will show you miracles. Show me your vibration, and I will show you miracles. To grow beyond your conditioned self, you must shift your perspective, your worldview to a degree that you generate a new vibration in you. You must generate a new vibration. That vibration is what activates the world, the universe around you, and calls into you a reflection, you have the mental equivalent. The way we communicate that mental equivalent to the world around us is by making sure that we believe in it enough that it actually starts to vibrate. I remember again too, early in the teaching, hearing some of these things, and I didn't realize how literal some of them were. I can sit here and say all day long, I'm whole, perfect, and complete. I'm whole, perfect, and complete. I'm whole, perfect, and complete. But without the passion, the enthusiasm, the vibration, and the shift, or the vibration, without that, I don't create shift, which is what I meant to say. But if I turn and I say, oh man, I know that I'm whole, perfect, and complete. I know that I'm worthy of good and greater good and more love and abundance and more abundance. I know that I am capable and worthy of growing beyond the limitation of my life, the conditioning of my life. Now, when I get that vibration up, I am consistently shifting the vessel. You and I, the vessel, we carry the consciousness. We are the house of the consciousness that aligns with the one. If you remember, you go back to this quote: one alone in consciousness with the infinite constitutes a majority. So when I get that activated, when you get that activated, and even now at home, when as you're listening to me, begin to like even shift your body, tap your body, feel the aliveness, create a relationship with the body so that you can feel the activity by means of you. This is what happens. This is all healing modalities, whether it's EFT or Reiki or any of the others. There are two things that matter: is the shift in consciousness that complements the healing modality, and it's the vibration that gets created. It's the vibration and the consciousness, whatever kind of healing modality it is. Okay. So we create by design or by default, until which time we have thoroughly conditioned the vessel. Now, here's a secret. And if I were an expert in spiral dynamics, I'd be able to explain it to you differently. However, I'm not. I have a cursory understanding. So, when we are new in this teaching, we create by default. I've explained that to you already. If you find yourself being reactionary to life, if you're feeling at the mercy of life, if you're feeling victimized by people or conditions, maybe the news, okay, and if what is around you prompts automatic reactions that don't feel wonderful, you are experiencing life by default. There's something in your body temple that you are reacting to, and that's by default. So, what I'm saying to you now is by spiritual practices, education, and 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 repeat, actually, spiritual practices, education, spiritual practices, education, a thorough combination of both of those things on a rotating basis. Where you come, a perfect example is most of us in life, most people that I work with simply have this thing that they don't think they're enough. Okay. So as I begin to shift from the I'm not enough to I am enough, I am enough, I am enough, I am enough the way I am enough, and I accept myself the way I am and the way I am not. And as I do that and I shift, that starts to shift myself as the vessel, shift my mind and my consciousness. Here's where Dr. Tom Johnson, here's where what he was saying comes alive. If you work diligently to shift your consciousness, you will it will take less effort to consistently grow beyond, and your new default will be the default of someone who is optimistic and positive and loving, walking in the skin of an individual that thinks, believes that life is meant to be good. Now, let's be clear. I'm a pretty optimistic person. I was not an optimistic person growing up. I worked for it. I wanted to be one of those people that always saw life as the silver lining. And I wasn't that initially. And I took it upon myself to shift every to really shift one thought at a time. To catch the thought, shift the thought. To catch the thought, shift the thought. And so what I did is I built a case to believe in myself. I built a case to find um, oh, sorry, I just saw some of the comments. Good morning, everybody. Yes, Anatomy of Spirit. If I had seen this before, I would have been able to call that out. I just saw that. Okay. Um, and so as I built that case for myself, I started to become that person because I wasn't that person. I was the person who will. Oh, I have a story for you. If you had a story, oh, I had a story. If you had a problem, oh, well, let me tell you what my problem was. That literally was who I was. When I think back at it now, I'm fairly amused by how ignorant I was. I'm going to call myself ignorant at the time. Why? I didn't know better. It was the only way that I had to relate. I was the only way that I had to relate was through my challenging, story, drama-filled life. But then shift happened. Now, you tell me if we have an outing on Saturday and you tell me it's going to rain, I'm going to say to you, maybe not. It might work out. If you tell me that whatever it is, and if I'm working to create something, I'm going to say to you, yeah, it'll probably work out. No, we can hold out for hope. Yes, we can believe in that. Because now I absolutely fully expect that life is leaning in my direction. Okay. I understand that that flies in the face of Ernest Holmes teaching us that law is impersonal. But I get to choose. I get to choose the perception that I want to live in, and so do you. You get to choose. And it's through choosing. It is absolutely through consciously choosing the mindset that you want to live into and from that you begin to experience that. How? How do we do this? Number one, spiritual mind treatment. If you believe you're at the mercy of something, number one, call a licensed practitioner. Call a practitioner, any one of the centers from spiritual living from all around the world. We are everywhere. If you think you don't have the money, another shift that you have to make. But if you think you don't have the money to invest in yourself, talk to the practitioner. They will work with you and very likely just treat for your expansion of consciousness around your finances. Learn how to pray. Learn how to pray. Practice it. Remember, of course, the thing that distinguishes science of mind, spiritual mind treatment from other prayer is that we come from and we believe in the indwelling presence. So I'm not trying to get something outside of me because there is no outside. There is no outside. Anything that you and I desire exists on some plane, exists somewhere. So, what you and I are doing is we are opening up to accept and allow. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, give me some thumbs up so I know that that's making sense. Because this should be what I'm talking about should be logical. Okay, so if, like I said, if you're listening, thumbs up. Number two, so that's spiritual mind treatment, whether you're using someone else or whether you do it yourself. Meditation. Shift comes from being in the presence, from basking in the presence, from aligning with the presence. Bask and align in the presence through meditation. You don't know what you're doing? Fine. Fine, absolutely. Simply go on to one of the hundreds of apps that you can get on your phones, on YouTube, and Google meditation. You'll get everything from guided meditation to 3 or 4 hours of mindful music where it's silent. You can get it all, okay? So, prayer, meditation, silence. Our minds are too busy, and mostly they're busy with negativity. It's just what happens. Learn to be okay in the silence. Learn to be okay with not just quiet here, but quiet here. Different than when we're doing this to wake ourselves up and create a vibration. The next vibration we want to create is a calm and ease. Why? Because then we can hear with greater hearing. We can hear our inspiration. We can hear our intuition, which is not audible when we're ba 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 ba, and we have the busyness of the mind. So it's learning to be in silence. How do you do that? I'm going to tell you very specifically a number of ways. Number one, while in your car, stop listening to things all the time. Learn to sit and drive in silence. Number two, if you don't go out that much, you don't drive, schedule silent times in your home. Don't schedule silent times where you're very busy. Schedule silent times where you're sitting and you're being in the presence and listen. Simply listen. Okay. That will teach you how to hear that which is trying to talk to you. Journaling. I'm not a big journaler, but I have journaled. I have old journals that are filled. Be present with what you believe and believe in yourself. Okay? Very important. Stop judging yourself. Stop criticizing yourself. Commit, absolutely commit to never again speaking against yourself. Why? Because that word, those thoughts fall like seeds into the consciousness. And that's not what you want to do. That's not what you want to do. You want to love all of you. You want to love the parts of you that are easy to love and the parts of you are challenging to love. You want to love you if you're in a full, beautiful, perfect body, and you want to love you if you're not in that full, if you're not in that perfect body. You want to love you if you're educated. You want to love you if you're not educated. You want to love you if life is working, and you want to love you if life is not working. Why? Because the presence of love in your life is what will lift you and govern the shift within you. Love paves the way. Love absolutely paves the way. So if we're growing beyond, let's grow beyond the perceived limitations on the path of love. And you do that often enough and long enough, it will become a new norm. Yes? Can I get a yes on that? Does that work for you? That you get to shift yourself so much that it becomes your norm? Imagine walking gently, lovingly in the presence of your own company with love, with absolute love. Just kind of get that vibration. It makes me think of, monks in a walking meditation. Self-care, practice self-care, absolutely. Self-care is everything from good food and exercise to boundaries. Practice self-care so that you are safe within your own surroundings and you feel good about it. Create. Find a way to express your creativity. And there's some of you listening right now who think it's not you, or you think you're not creative, or you think you don't need it. And I'm here to tell you that if you do not find a way to express those creative juices, because we're all creative in some way, it becomes stagnant within. We don't want to be stagnant. I don't care if you pick up crayons, if you're an artist, a poet. I think about, and she's going to be on my show relatively soon, this sweet young artist that I met a couple of years ago, Jessie Powers. I listen to her music and you can tell it is so spirit ordained. It is so beautiful. All of our artists, all of our New Thought artists. But I mention her because she's like this new young individual on the scene. And I'm so inspired to listen to her music. Music. Music is a fantastic way to soothe the body, the being that you are. And when you're soothed and it's having a sense of ease, you get to grow again beyond the perceived limiting conditions. You get to grow beyond. Okay, so I've given you some have-tos, and no one's asked any questions. So I'm going to consider this complete, but I want to pray. I want to pray for each and every one of you. And when I pray right now, it is to acknowledge, absolutely acknowledge that you have the power and the presence within you to make the shift that you choose to have, to experience. So join me, if you will. Oh, yes, there is a power, a presence of love, an essence of good. It is everywhere present all the time. It lives in, through, and as me, as each of us. And I declare on behalf of everyone listening now or later that this presence inspires me at the very foundation of my being. And I am lifted. I am lifted to the degree that I live from a place of expecting life to be good and very good, holy and so holy, glorious in so many ways. This expectation grows and expands me more and more. My consciousness grows. My consciousness shifts. And in that shift, I believe in the presence as the very foundation of my life. Yes, I live into and from that yes. And I declare for everyone that I love myself as I am and as I am not. And I allow this self love to be the power behind this word, to be the absolute power behind this word. Every day in every way, I grow, I shift, and I expand. I am grateful for the presence as me, as me. And I accept and allow it to be my reality right now. For this and so much more, I am so, so grateful. I release this word to love, to law, and to the awe of life. And so it is. So, thank you for tuning in. Keep your eye, if not in the Science of Mind textbook, in any of Ernest Holmes' classic works. When you use the classic material, it's not filled with a lot of fads. It will help you to really learn how to shift from inside out. Education, practice, education, application, education, practice, and repeat and repeat. Believe in yourself. Please believe in yourself. Just as if you were working with a practitioner, as I am, I'll say to you, I believe in you. And I believe in the presence as you. As you. Yes, yes, Lori Carlson. To love myself as I am and as I am not. Absolutely. You are worthy of this. I love you. I bless you. And as I say, a little advertisement, two little things. Tonight, I decided I want to pray. So Eastern time, 6:00, Reverend Robert is allowing me to pray. He's given me license to pray. And hey, Reverend Robert, can you come on screen since I know you're capable? Oh, there you go. Pray with me. Beautiful. Thank you. Join me in the studio. There you go. There he is.
I haven't done my hair though.
It's okay. You're perfect the way you are. We love you the way you are and way you are not. I wanted to just be on screen with you and continue to say thank you. Continue to just raise and praise you for your vision, for this work, for this ministry. Bless you, bless you, bless you. And thank you for letting me play tonight and pray tonight. Thank you so much. So anyone listening, love on this man, okay? Love on this man And yeah, Neil says it's a good look, Robert. So
Thank you,
there
Neil.
we go. He loves you here. There you go.
I'll take the validation. Thank you. and folks, I do hope you can join us this evening. I'm working to rearrange my schedule a little bit. And join us this evening. It's at 6:00 Eastern time. Reverend Michelle's gonna just be here on the network and tune in and come pray.
Yes.
Be part of the prayer. That is,
and come with prayer requests, because that's what I want to do. I'm here to be in service tonight. So come meet me tonight, please. And then for the next three more Thursdays, I'm going to continue with the 4 agreements on my Jersey Girl Wisdom show. Robert, I'm loving on you. Thank you so much for your work. And as I say each week, people, be well, be happy, and be brilliant. Much love. See you tonight. Bye.
check it out. Thursdays, 10 a.m. Mountain Time, noon Eastern. A healthy dose of Jersey Girl wisdom. Live with Rev Jersey Girl. Sponsored by New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring. New Thought Radio, positively inspiring tunes, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Listen anytime at ntmedia.org. New Thought Radio, positively inspiring.